and distraction can look identical from the outside. Both involve moving on and feeling better. But one transforms you and the other just postpones the pain. Learning the difference might be one of the most important things you'll ever do. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Universe podcast. I am very, very glad to have you here. This is not what I had originally planned on talking about for the next episode. Um, Originally, it was going to be something about the history of the Korean language because I wanted it to be lighthearted. And then it was supposed to be about, the library in Alexandria that was destroyed, which both episodes are coming. But after this one, I just felt that this is an important message for me to talk about at this particular time. I won't take much of your time, so uh, all links are in the description below. Feel free to comment your thoughts, share, and all that. Again, very glad to have you here. So, without further ado, let's begin. So, can we talk about something uncomfortable? There's this thing we do when we're hurt. When something breaks us, a relationship ending, a loss, a betrayal, a trauma we don't have words for, we tell ourselves, I'm fine, I'm over it, I'm moving on. And for a while, that works. We stay busy, we fill our time, we throw ourselves into school, work, hobbies, relationships, new goals, etc. We scroll, we binge watch, we go out, we stay distracted. And we generally feel better, like it's a genuine feeling of, okay, I'm okay. Or at least we feel less sad, less angry, less broken. So we think we're healing. We think, see, I'm doing great. I'm strong. I moved on. Yay. But here's the question that keeps me up at night. What if you're not healing? What if you're just distracting yourself? What if all that moving on is actually just avoiding the thing you need to face? What if you're not processing the pain, you're just postponing it? Because here's the truth, distraction and healing can look exactly the same from the outside. Both involve feeling better, both involve functioning, both involve not crying every day. But on the inside, they're completely different. And if you can't tell the difference, you might spend years thinking you're okay until something cracks and you realize you never actually dealt with it. So, today, we're talking about how to know if you're healing or just running away and why it matters. So, number one, what distraction looks like and why it feels like healing. First, let's talk about what distraction actually is because it's not always obvious. Distraction isn't scrolling TikTok for 5 hours or binge watching Netflix, though it can be that. Distraction is anything you use to avoid feeling something you don't want to feel. And here's the tricky part, distraction can look really productive. You can distract yourself by throwing yourself into schoolwork or your job, starting a new relationship right after the last one ended, over exercising or obsessing over your body, helping someone else with their problems so you don't have to face your own, planning your entire future in detail so you don't have to sit with your present, staying busy 24/7 so you're never alone with your thoughts, and constant socializing, always around people, never quiet. From the outside, this looks like moving on. It looks like strength, like resilience. People even praise you for it. Wow, you're doing so well. You're so strong. But on the inside, you're running. You're white knuckling your way through life, terrified that if you stop, even for a second, the pain will catch up to you. So, why do we confuse distraction with healing? Because distraction makes you feel better in the short term, and that relief is very real. When you're busy, you're not sad. When you're distracted, you're not thinking about what hurts. When your brain goes, see, this is working, keep doing this. And you do. You stay busy, you stay distracted, and weeks, months, maybe even years go by, and you think, I'm fine now, I'm over it. And then something happens. It could be a song comes on, a memory surfaces, you see someone who reminds you of them, you're alone for the first time in weeks, etc. And suddenly, it all comes crashing back, whether it's the grief, the anger, the hurt, and it feels like just as raw as it did the day it happened. And you're confused. You're like, wait, I thought I dealt with this. I thought I moved on. Why does it still hurt this much? And the answer is you never actually processed it. You just got really, really good at avoiding it. Number two, what healing actually looks like and why it's harder. Okay, so if distraction is avoidance, what is healing? Healing is about feeling better, faster. It's not about getting over it. It's not about moving on like nothing happened. Healing is a process of actually feeling what you need to feel, understanding it, and integrating it into who you are. This sounds abstract, so let's break it down. So, healing means number one, acknowledging the pain instead of minimizing it. Not, it wasn't that bad, or other people have it worse, or just this hurt me, and that's okay. You can't heal what you won't acknowledge. If you keep telling yourself it didn't matter, your body and your subconscious know you're lying, and they'll hold you onto it until you're ready to be honest. Number two, feeling the feelings without judgment. This is by far one of the hardest parts because feeling hurt, angry, betrayed, sad, scared, it sucks. Your brain wants to do literally anything else, but healing requires you to sit with those feelings, not forever, not wallowing, but long enough to actually feel them, to let them move through you instead of getting stuck. Therapists talk about sitting with discomfort, and I used to think that was a very dumb phrase at some point. Like, why would I choose to feel bad? But after actually engaging in psychology, what I've learned is feelings feelings that aren't felt don't go away. They just go underground. They become anxiety, depression, numbness, physical illness, explosions of anger you can't explain. They leak out sideways. So, healing means giving yourself permission to cry, to be angry, to grieve, even when it's inconvenient. Even when people tell you, move on already. It's not that deep. Number three, understanding why it hurt, not just that it hurt. This is where you start asking yourself some questions. What about this situation triggered me so deeply? Is this bringing up old wounds? What do I need that I didn't get? What belief about myself or the world got shattered? Healing isn't about feeling better, it's about learning something from the pain about yourself, about your patterns, about what you need going forward. Number four, integrating the experience into your story without letting it define you. Eventually, healing means you can talk about what shaped you without letting it control you. It's the difference between this thing happened to me and now I'm broken and this thing happened to me and I survived it. And I'm different now. But I'm still whole. Number five, choosing differently in the future. Healing isn't complete until it changes your behavior. If you keep repeating the same patterns, attracting the same toxic people, avoiding the same hard conversations, you're not healed, you're just older. Real healing looks like setting boundaries you couldn't set before, walking away from situations that used to trap you, asking for what you need instead of suffering in silence. And here's the frustrating part: healing isn't linear. Some days you feel great. You think, I'm totally over this. And then the next day, something small triggers you and you're crying in your car, in your room, or whatnot. That doesn't mean you're not healing. It means you're human. Healing isn't a straight line from broken to fixed. It's more like two steps forward, one step back. And sometimes one step sideways into something you didn't know was an issue. But the difference between healing and destruction is this: When you're healing, the bad days get less frequent and less intense over time. When you're distracting, they just keep ambushing you out of nowhere. The third thing I want to talk about is the signs you're distracting and not healing. Okay, so how do you actually know if you're distracting yourself instead of healing? Here are some signs. Number one, you refuse to be alone with your thoughts. If the idea of sitting in silence for 10 minutes terrifies you, that's a very, very big red flag. If you always need noise, people, or something to do, you might be running. Healing requires a form of stillness. If you can't be still, you can't heal. Number two, you can't talk about it without falling apart or shutting down completely. If someone brings it up, whatever that thing is, and you immediately change the subject, make a joke, or start crying uncontrollably, you probably haven't processed it yet. You haven't processed it. Healing means you can talk about it with some emotional distance. It still matters, but it doesn't destroy you every time the topic gets brought up. Number three, you're constantly busy, but you don't know why. If you're filling up every second of your day and you can't explain why you need to be this busy, ask yourself, what am I avoiding? Number four, you jumped into something new immediately after the painful thing ended. New relationship right after a breakup, new obsession right after a loss. That's usually distraction, not healing. You can't heal from one thing while already pouring all your energy into the next thing. You're just transferring the unprocessed pain into a new situation. Number five, you feel numb instead of sad. Numbness is your brain's shutting down mode, so to speak. It's what happens when feelings are too overwhelming to process, so your brain just turns them off. But numb isn't healed. Numb is frozen, and eventually you'll have to thaw. That ice around your mind will melt eventually. Number six, small things trigger disproportionate reactions. If someone says something minor and you have a meltdown, for example, that's probably not about the minor thing. It's about the big thing you never dealt with. Number seven, you're quote unquote fine all the time. If your default answer to how are you is always I'm fine, even with people you trust, you might be in denial. Healing involves acknowledging when you're not fine. Distraction involves pretending you always are. Fourth thing I want to talk about why we choose distraction and why that's okay. Before we go any further, I want to say this distraction isn't a moral failing. If you've been distracting yourself instead of healing, that doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. Because here's the truth sometimes distraction is survival. When something traumatic happens, your brain does whatever it needs to do to keep you functional. And sometimes that means shutting down the pain so you can get through the day. And that's not bad. It's adaptive. That's just how the brain works. The brain is protecting you, essentially. The problem is when distraction becomes permanent, when you never move from survival mode into processing mode, when you're still running 5 years later because you never gave yourself permission to stop. So, why do we choose distraction over healing? Number one, healing hurts. Facing pain is painful. That's not a contradiction, it's just true. And most of us will do almost anything to avoid pain, even if avoiding it causes more pain in the long run. Number two, we don't know how to heal. Nobody teaches you this stuff. There's no class in school called How to Process Grief 101. We stumble through it, making it up as we go. Number three, some people expect us to move on quickly. Our culture doesn't have the patience for grief, sadness, or struggle. People give you like 2 weeks to be sad, and then they're like, are you still upset about that? Really? So, we pretend we're fine because that's what people want to see. Number four, we're scared of what we'll find if we stop running. What if the pain is bigger than we thought? What if we can't handle it? What if we fall apart? What if we can't put ourselves back together? Those are real fears, and they keep people running for decades. So those are the reasons why we choose distraction over healing. The fifth thing I want to talk about is how to actually heal, in my opinion. Okay, so if you're realizing, yeah, I've been distracting myself, I haven't really healed, what do you do? Here are some practical steps. Number one, stop. Just stop. Carve out time to be still, to be alone, to not be constantly busy. I know it sounds simple, but it's the hardest step, to be honest. Because when you stop, the feelings catch up, and that's terrifying. You have to stop running before you can start healing. Number two, name what you're feeling. Don't just say, I feel bad. Get specific. Am I sad, angry, betrayed, scared, ashamed, lonely, overwhelmed? Naming feelings takes away some of their power. It turns a formless cloud of bad into something you can actually work with. And that's something that psychologists, psychiatrists, in their practice, therapists, in their practice, tend to want to get out of the patient as quickly as possible is what exactly are are you feeling? Because once you're able to at least pinpoint or name the feeling, it can be easier to be able to find solutions for that thing. Number three, let yourself feel it without necessarily trying to fix it. This is where a lot of people get stuck. We feel something uncomfortable and immediately try to make it stop. But healing requires you to just sit with it, cry if you need to, journal, talk to someone, but don't immediately jump into how do I make this go away? You can't heal what you won't feel. Number four, talk to someone. This can be a therapist, friends, family member, etc. Healing in isolation is very hard and sometimes impossible. You need someone who can witness your pain without trying to fix it or minimize it. If you can afford therapy, do it. If you can't, trusted friend, mentor, pastor, parent, uncle, auntie, older sibling, good trusted friend, whatever, talk to them about it. Someone who'll actually listen. Number five, ask yourself, what am I learning from this? Not in a toxic positivity, everything happens for a reason kind of way, but in a what is this teaching me about myself, my needs, my patterns kind of way. Pain without growth is just suffering. Pain with growth is healing. Number six, give yourself permission to heal at your own pace. There's no timeline. Some people heal fast, some people take years. Both are okay. Don't rush into it because other people think you should be over it by now. Your healing is yours, not theirs. Number seven, notice when you're avoiding versus when you're genuinely resting. Rest is a part of healing, avoidance isn't. Rest feels restorative, avoidance feels numbing. Rest makes you feel more like yourself, avoidance makes you feel disconnected. Rest is intentional, and avoidance is compulsive. Learn the difference. The sixth thing I want to talk about, a word on faith and healing. So, for those of you who have faith, I want to say this: God does not rush your healing. I'll say that again. God does not rush your healing. There's this verse that says, it's actually Psalm 34:18 that I talked about in a previous episode. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Notice that it didn't say that the Lord fixes the brokenhearted instantly. He's just close to them, present with them, in the pain with them. Sometimes we think faith means pretending we're fine, that we should praise through the pain or just trust God and not acknowledge how much it hurts. So that's not what the Bible teaches. Look at the Psalms. They're full of raw, honest, messy prayers. David crying out, "How long, O Lord, have you forgotten me?" Job was sitting in ashes, grieving. Jesus in the garden, sweating blood, saying, "Take this cup from me." God can handle your honesty. He's not offended by your pain. He's not disappointed that you're not over it yet. Healing with God doesn't mean avoiding the pain. It means inviting Him to it. letting him sit with you in it and trusting that even when it doesn't make sense, he's there. Here's what I want you to know. Healing is possible and it's definitely worth it from experience. It's hard, it's slow, it's uncomfortable, but on the other side of it, you're not the same person. You're not fixed necessarily in the sense that nothing ever hurts again, but you're whole, you're integrated, you know yourself better, you trust yourself more, you're not running anymore. And that peace, that groundedness, you can't fake it with a distraction. You can only get there by walking through the fire. So if you've been running, it's okay. You can stop now. You can turn around and face it. And you don't have to do it alone. You're allowed to take as long as you need. You're allowed to ask for help. You're allowed to fall apart and put yourself back together differently. Because that's what healing is. Not going back to who you were before, but becoming who you're meant to be because of what you went through. And so, thank you guys for being here, for listening, for maybe letting yourself feel something you've been avoiding. If this resonated, send it to someone who might need it or just sit with it for yourself. You're doing better than you think, and healing is happening, even when it doesn't feel like it. I'm glad you're here. Have a great day, great night, great evening. God bless, and I'll see you in the next episode. Take care and goodbye.